Hello everyone. Our today topic is in cache memory. We will discuss about the performance consideration of cache memories, in which we study about the interleaving and what is hit rate and miss penalty and some other improvement is like cache on processor chip, what is that, and how they organize. We already discussed this part a little bit, but in the case of hit rate and miss penalty, how the equation will be, we'll see, and other enhancement. So main topics are only two topic: interleaving and hit rate here. Now, performance consideration is based on two key factors, that is of cost and performance, and that is we can access to we can measure through the uh, pri- price versus performance ratio. We can say price must be same and performance will be increased for a chip if we are making new thing, and performance is here nothing but the speed of the processor or other memory and at what speed our whole system will work. So mainly we will discuss about the memory only, because we are talking about the cache memory here only. So one way is to speed up memory is introduce the parallelism. We make the parallel chips of the cache memory of the memories, so we can improve that is actually known as interleaved organization. This one is the interleaved organization. So first one is, there are two types of organization in the right side, you can see. That is, the first one is consecutive words in the module and consecutive words in the consecutive modules. So let me explain what are these. We just I just said about the uh, using of multiple chips of in main memories, multiple chips we will use. So it is the parallelism of the chips of memory. So in first case, what we did, that we are using consecutive words in a single module. So let's say if we want some consecutive we want some data from this memory, so first word is there and second word will be here. Why? Because of you can see here in this address, the upper the MSBs of the this memory address is corresponds to the a single chip, so it will enable only one chip at a time. So this correspond to this one, and the lower bits are represent the number of the data in a single chip, like this. So if I can say, if there is a data, let's say a 4-bit number is there. So if I want to uh, if I want to next uh, data next address data, so I just do increase the address, and you can see that lower bit are increasing only, changing, or lower bit are increasing and other bits upper bits are fixed here. So let's say upper bits are, as we have discussed, these are module bits, so these are fixed. So module is fixed and the lower bits are changing, so we can get continuous data in a single module. Okay, this is not that much effective, because one time we will access only one module. So we will use another type of, and another type of that one, that is the consecutive word in consecutive model. Before that, I let me say you about the, this one is the address bus register and this one is the data bus register. So as soon as someone require the data, module will take data and save into this one data bus register, and this one be accessed by the processor back, and it will take less time, but the accessing of the data inside the memory, it will take more time. So that's why we need some registers. It will store here and searching for new one, a new data. In meanwhile, a processor can access this data from the DBR. Now another one type is consecutive words in consecutive modules. Here you can see that the changes is in this address. Previously we were using module at the MSB, and here we are using module bits are at the, previously were MSB, and this one, in this case the memory module are accessible through the LSB bits. So LSB bits are access through this access LSB bits, we can access one time a single module. A single module can be accessed only one time. So it is like the enable input for the different modules. And upper bits, that is the MSB bits, are used for addressing the data inside. So let's say previous one, we are taking this one address, we are taking like this, and if I want to already access, if I want to consecutive address data, consecutive assets, so I increase the, just increase the address data, and you can see that upper bits are fixed as and lower bits are changing, and because of lower bits are changing, our module should change. So module is changed, so it is like first data is stored here, second in this one, third one is this one, okay, fourth one is this one, something like that. So what is the benefit of this one? This one actually known as memory interleaving. This one is known as memory interleaving, and benefit is that we got more time to access the memory, and if someone first data is taken from here, is stored here, and processor can give the next address to this one in next clock cycle only. Meanwhile it will give return our data to this one data bus register, so we will get our data in less time, and also memory will get some time to refresh them, because we need to refresh the memory always, because main memory is basically made of DRAM. Now let me remove. Now let's take some examples. We are doing some performance we are how the performance will work. Let's say some examples. Let's say here's a, suppose 8 data word block is there, and on read miss, the block that contains the desired word must be copied from the memory into the cache. And assume that hardware has the following properties. It takes one clock cycle to send an address to the main memory, usually takes larger, but suppose that it takes one cycle to send address to the main memory, and the memory is built with the entire relatively slow DRAM chips that allows the first word to access in 8 cycles, but subsequent word of the block are accessed in 4 clock cycles per word, and at the end 1 clock cycle to send that word into the cache. So total cycles, how much cycles we require? That is 1 for sending the address, 1 for sending the address, this one, and first word will be accessed in 8 clock cycle because latency time will be also there, and another 7 are on 4 clock cycle per word. This one 7 into 4, and the last one is when we get the data of 8 word, and so that we need to store 1 clock cycles to store in the cache. So there are 38 cycles to access main memory and store that data into the cache. Another example is that when we used this interleaving concept, what we are this one is the example of this one, first one, consecutive words, or when we use single module. Actually it is a concept of single module, if data are in single module. So this one is the example upper than this is one, these are of single module. Let's say interleaves modules, and in here also 1 clock cycles for the starting address, and 8 clock cycles each data words in the data bus register, because initially we are taking only one word on the first address. This one will be also store, this one also store, and this one also store here, this one also store the same address, because all are accessible at the same time. So they will store in DBR. So 8 clock cycle bit. Why 8 clock cycle? Because this is the latency time for them, for the first one. Now words are transferred to the cache, one word at a time in 4 clock cycles. That is correct. And during this time, next word in each module is accessed, and then it takes another 4 cycle to transfer these words to the cache. So how much time we take? It takes first one and then 8 with latency, then 4 to access, 4 to store, and this one is only 70 cycles needs here in this when we use interleaving concept. So previously it was 38, now we are using only 70 as. So this one is the benefit of this interleaving concept. Now let's talk about the what happened. Let's talk about the working of cache. Let's say a processor demanded the content of the content sum, and content is present in the cache, then it is known as cache hit. And if not present, then it is known as cache miss. And the performance of the cache is given by hit ratio, and it is the number of hits and total number of memory reference. It is like it is very easy to learn. It is like just ratio, like we calculate percentage. So number of hits and total upon total. So in total there are all memory access is there. Someone will find in cache, some data is find in memory because they were missed. So this one is the total, how much time we require some data and we access the memory, and this one is the only that time we get our data in processor will get our data in cache memory. Now let's see type of cache access. First one is simultaneous access. If CPU wants some data, so it will send data to cache. It can access cache and main memory both same time, but it will take time in different. Then let's say it takes 10 nanosecond only, and it takes memory takes 100 nanosecond. So there the time is different. This one is the way we are sending simultaneous access. If data is get in cache memory, so there is no need of this one data, although processor send a signal to main memory also to get this one also send. So it one that is not useful for the CPU, that will be rejected by the CPU, and this one data will be used by the CPU when, which is sent by the cache. So if let's say h is the hit ratio, if we find our data in the cache, if we TCM is the time for cache memory, here I take 10 nanosecond, and TMM time required for main memory access time. So like say this one is the, if hit ratio is there, if hit is there, so multiply by TCM, that is the cache memory time. And if there is a miss, this one is the miss, because hit is not there, so miss must be there, so 1 minus h is miss ratio, and TMM is the, because there is a miss, so we need to calculate this, we need to consider this time 100 nanosecond. So this one is a TMIS. So this one is the formula for calculating average memory access time, how much time we required average. Now this one is the hierarchical access. In this CPU first check in data in the cache. If it is not there, then it will send a data to main memory. So previously we are sending simultaneously, but here we will check the cache memory. Let's say it is also taking 10 nanosecond, it is also taking 100 nanosecond. So what happened there, here first is check in 10 nanosecond. If it is not there, it will check in 100 nanosecond. The total time to reach here, if there is a miss, that is 110 nanosecond. Previously there was only 100 nanosecond. So but previously it is also that we have to send our signal to main memory, or okay, that is the not a right way to do, because power is consumed in that part. If we get in cache memory, then it then why we go to the main memory. Now let's make some, so this one is the way we usually do. Now let's calculate this formula. H hit, time for access cache memory, and if there is a miss, total time, which is the combination of, I use 110, so I plus. So if I solve this one, so I will get this, just it will cut by this minus h into TCM, so we'll get this one. So you do not to remember this one, so just think about this. Just T average is time for cache, and if there is a miss, time for main memory. Now let's take some examples. This one is the example. A computer system has the cycle with a cache access time of 10 nanosecond, hit ratio is 80%, and the average memory access time is 20 nanosecond. What is the access time for physical main memory? So what is the our hit ratio? That is calculated from it is 80%, that is 0.80, and total time, that is a T average, it is given as 20 nanosecond, and cache memory access time is 10 nanosecond, it is given. So we need to find TMM. So we can give it in this formula and get our result. It is an easy question, you can do. Now next question is, a cache line has 128 byte, and the main memory has a latency rate of 64 nanosecond and bandwidth 1 GB per second. The time required to fetch the entire cycle, entire cache line is. So do this question and try this question, pause the videos. Now let's do this question. time required will be uh, time required will be actually at 128 byte transfer time we need to, and there is a latency time also there. The total time will be latency plus 128 byte transfer time. Latency, what is latency? Latency is something like if we need what is the time for getting first data. So sometimes it is a larger data, so we not consider the first time. It is something like we compare with something sometimes seek time and time to reach there, something like that. So latency time we can add directly. There is a little difference in seek time and latency time only, so let's not go through into that. But latency time, think that access, first access, and after that continuous access of remaining part. So 128 latency time we know already 64 nanosecond, and we need to calculate 128 byte transfer. Because we need 1 second, how much we can transfer? 1 GB byte. So 128 byte with how much time we it will take to transfer? That is only 128 nanosecond. So we can just plus them and get our result. Let's go to next example. Example is based on this one, this formula. This is not something different, it is the same as previously. That is a hit plus time for in cache memory plus miss ratio and time for main memory. It is similar as previously, so don't confuse. M is the time for access main memory, C is the time for accessing cache memory, H is the hit ratio. Suppose that if controller has no cache, no cache, we are directly accessing from the memory, so it will take the 10 clock cycles for each memory read. So if there are 130, let's say it will come 130 to 10. If their total instruction is total access is 130 times, so 130 into 10, that is 1300. That is time without cache. Let's see how 130 is come. It is only given in the question example. Suppose that computer has the cache that holds 8 words block and an interleaved main memory. Previously we seen that it's take only 17 cycles needed to load a block into the cache when we use interleaved main memory, and assume that 30% of instruction in the typical program performs a read and write operation. This one will tell about the how much access data access will be there. 30% of instruction, let's see, there are total is of 100 is there, and 30% instructions total are 130. let's say 130 access is there, and there are 130 memory access for every 100 instruction executed. Why 130 is because of, let's say there are 100 instruction in which we need to access memory also. So if you know about the instruction cycles, there are opcodes and some data. So opcode, there is a immediate data, also some memory access is also there. So in case of 100, we directly can access our data through the instruction, and if we require some memory addresses scheme, so in this case only 30 will be instruction is there, 30% will be there only perform a read and write operation in the memory. So total is 130 time we will access the our memory. Why 130 time? 100 is for accessing the instruction and 30 for accessing memory extra time. So there are total 130. Assume that hit ratio on the cache are 1.95 for instructions and 0.9 for the data. So 100 is the instruction total and 30 times we are going to data. So let's say we discussed there are 130 time memory access. If there is no cache, so 10 cycles is required. We assume that total is 1300. Now if we are using cache, then 400 instructions, it is if it is there in cache, if it is there in cache, that is hit ratio, only one cycle will be required. Let's say one cycle will be required. It is not one, actually we are using one. And if there is a miss, that is 1 minus h, that is 1 minus 0.95, so there will be only 17 cycles required if we use interleaved memory, interleaved main memory, plus remaining 30 is the data access. This one is the instruction, this one is the data, and data is the hit ratio is 0.9. So 0.9 accessing, we need only one cycle because we are accessing from cache. Let's say one cycle. Here we are also using one cycles, and after that this one is the miss for the data. And if it is missed, we need to go to the memory, and 17 cycles we required. So we will get the ratio here of this without and time with cache with 5.04. So this result suggests that computer with cache performs 5 times better. Now another thing is that how a cache memory in the processor chip we used. We seen previously that there is a processor, and there are just processor, not CPU is there, and there are caches, like it one is the L1 cache, this one is the L2 cache, and this one is the L1 cache also for instruction. Let's say there are one cache only, L1 cache, and after that we have a greater L2 cache, and after that we have a bigger main memory. We seen this like this diagram previously. Pardon my drawing, my drawing is not that much good. So T average will be H1 is the hit rate for the L1 ratio, and C1 is the access time for L1 cache. And if it is not there, we need to we have a miss there, and we need to check in C2. So if it is in C2, so there is a hit ratio in C2, and this one is the cache time required, access time required to C2, cache 2, that is L2. And if it is also not there, so there is a ratio of it is not first one, not in L2, and so we need to go to memory. This one is the memory access time. So we can make this type of formula. This one is not all of us not don't remember them, can make them directly. This one is not that much not of. Let's talk about the other enhancement. First one is write buffer. When the write through protocol is used, let me remind you what was the write through protocol. If there is a cache in between the main memory and the processor, and if some data is changed and it needs to be rewrite in the main memory, so first one it should be in memory, cache memory, and then it is main memory. So in write through it, there is a protocol that if some data is changed by the processor, so it will store in the main memory, cache memory, and main memory also. This one is the write through protocol. If the processor must wait for memory function to be completed, as we have assumed until now, then the processor is slowed down by the all write request. Processor typically does not immediately depend on the result of the write operation, so it is not necessary to for the processor to wait for the write request to be completed. To improve performance, A write buffer can be included for temporary storage of write request. The processor places each request the processor places each write request into this buffer and continues execution of the next instruction. The write request is stored in the write buffer are sent to the main memory whenever the memory is not responding to the read request. It is important that read request be served immediately because the processor usually cannot proceed without the data that are to be read from the memory. Hence, these requests are given priority over write request. Write buffer may hold number of write requests. Thus, it is possible that a subsequent read request may be referred to the data that are still in write buffer. To ensure correct operation, address of data to be read from the memory are compared with the address of the data in the write buffer. In case of match, data in the write buffer are used. This one is the type of we discussed previously parallelly subsequent data. Let me show you this one, simultaneous access. So there in the write buffer also there is a write buffer. Let's say it is a write buffer there. So if CPU wants some data, it will come from memory and it will check with this data in cache memory. So if it is same, so then it can use this one same as, but if it is not same, it will use cache memory data only. A different situation occur with the write back protocol. Write back, if you remember, it is opposite to the write through. In write back, it just wait there. If someone data is changed by the processor, so it will store in cache, and whenever we get the time, it will store in the memory. So different situation occur in the write back protocol. In this case, the write operation are simply performed on the corresponding word in the cache. But consider what happened when a new block of data is to be brought into the cache. A result of read miss, which replaces an existent block that has some dirty data. Dirty block has to be written to the main memory first. If the required write back is performed first, then the processor will have to wait longer for the new block to be read into the cache. It is more prudent to read the new block first. This can be arranged by providing a fast write buffer. So here we will use a fast write buffer also for temporary storage of dirty block that is ejected from the cache while the new block is being read. Afterward, the content of buffer are written into the main memory. Thus, the write buffer also work well for write back protocol. Next one is prefetching. Prefetching you have must heard about in pipelining. So this one is the concept same here, and prefetching is used for accessing the data, accessing the information instruction, accessing the instruction before if some process is going on in the processor, we will fetch next instruction into that. Next one is lookup free cache. In prefetching, a software prefetching scheme is used. It will be because arranged by the software if it interferes significantly with the normal execution of instruction. Why we interfere? Like if we are fetching and we have to access the memory continuously. So if in meanwhile processor wants some data, other data from the memory, so it is disturbing that. It is also, we are prefetching the instruction, but it is disturbing the memory. It is the memory is busy in this time. Thus, in the case of action of prefetching stops other accesses to the cache until the prefetch is completed. A cache of this type is said to be locked while it services a miss. We can solve this problem by modifying the basic cache structure to allow the processor to access the cache while a miss is being serviced. A cache can support multiple outstanding misses is called lookup free. Since it can service only one miss at a time, it must include circuitry that keeps track of all outstanding misses. This may be done with special registers that holds the pertinent information about these misses. Lookup free caches were first used in early 1980s. We have used software prefetching as an obvious motivation for the cache that is not locked by the read miss. A much more important less reason is that in a processor that uses a pipeline organization which overlaps the execution of several instructions, a read miss caused by an instruction could stall the execution of other instruction. A lookup free cache reduces this likelihood of such stalling. We will discuss this topic in another chapter. In a processor pipelining type chapter, it will be detailed there. So for the cache memory, it is our basic. It was the basic part of the cache memory. Let's we will meet again with new topic. I think virtual memories will be there. Thank you very much.